Hello, everyone, and welcome, or welcome back if you joined us for our first two sessions of the day, and I hope you did. I'm Stephanie Stahl, General Manager for the Content Marketing Institute, and this is our final session of the Content Operations Excellence Digital event. So nice to have you all here today. If you've been with us today, you already know this drill, but please take a quick look at this slide just so you know the logistics for the next half hour or so. Most important thing is you can ask questions at any time. Look for the Q&A box, put your question there, hit submit, and we will try to answer as many of those as we can. Also, in about 24 hours or so, we will send you a link to the recording of this event. So if you missed something, it's okay. We will send you the recording, as we will with all of the other events that are part of this session. So stay tuned for that in about 24 hours or so in your inbox. And you can also look for the folder widget on the console, and there you will find a copy of the slides and some other assets that you can take on your way today. All right, next up, we are going to be talking about video, and we've got two experts here to talk about making video part of your content strategy, ways to make it repeatable and scalable and manageable. We've got Russ Barr joining us today. Russ is the Managing Director of DAN Business Line for Cloudinary, and Sonia Carroll, who's the Global Head of Product Marketing at Contentstack. Welcome to you both.
Hi, Stephanie.
Hey, Stephanie, thank you for having us.
Yes, I'll turn it over to you all, and good evening to you. You all are coming to us where it is evening now, so I'll turn it over to you, and I will see you in just a little bit for some Q&A.
Thanks, Stephanie. So, hi, everyone. So we're going to talk a bit about video and how we can kind of embrace video and make it a part of our strategy going forward. So I'm going to start off by talking about some of the key trends that we're seeing today and we have seen over recent times and that we are going to see moving forward. So video is very rapidly becoming the primary marketing tool. Data that Cloudinary has gathered from our own systems has shown that there's been a 400% increase in the amount of video content that we have within our platform since 2017. So a huge amount of increase in that content. And also what we've also seen is from a bandwidth point of view, over 100 billion terabytes of video bandwidth has been consumed, which is an extraordinary amount. And it's only ever going to continue. It's only going to get even bigger and become a more important part of the content arsenal for marketeers. And it's not just about the technical side and about that explosion in the content, but it's also a big change in customer expectations. Customers now demand video content, and if you're not providing video content for your customers, then your competitors likely will be. The types of videos we're seeing are changing as well. A few years ago, videos were maybe 5 to 10 minutes long, quite lengthy. They took a lot of time. You had to invest your own time and effort into actually watching them. But then now we're seeing a real dominance of short form videos through Instagram, through TikTok, through the younger generation, really kind of flicking through content and having that kind of instant gratification of video content. 15 to 30 second videos are becoming the norm. So they need to be really, really easy to create and also instantly engaging because of that very, very short attention span you have of the potential consumers. You need to be able to hook them in very, very quickly. So that leads to a need to really be able to produce a huge amount of content very, very quickly, but still have the right message and the right delivery to your end users. Customers expect new content almost daily or more than daily, depending on the type of product or services you're offering. So again, the amount of content is huge. And to be able to reuse those videos is really important because you want to be able to increase the return on investment that you put into that video content and to get the most return on the content that you're putting out there. We've also seen big shifts in the kind of technology of consumers of the content and your end customers. So predominantly a few years ago, everything was desktop based with traditional desktop browsers, and that's no longer the case. More and more consumers are consuming content through mobile devices, which will include maybe micro browsers or in-app browsers, and all of these different types of devices and formats and browsers all need to be supported. You need to make sure that your original video, is usable across all of these touch points, regardless of the original format that it was created in, and regardless of the device or browser that your customers and consumers are viewing it in, and it needs to be perfect every time. Also, the platforms that are being used to consume content and to access and interact with content are also growing and changing on a very, very fast pace. And video content needs to be perfect and optimized for all of these channels. Lots of different factors can come into play when we're looking at optimization and the channels and what their requirements are. So it could be the size of the video, the orientation, resolution, the length, so whether it's short form or slightly longer, how it's cropped. It could be different for every single channel. And it's really important that your image or your video quality and the message that it's trying to portray is not degraded or devalued in any way based on all of those different variations that need to be created. So in short, your content must be really, really flexible to adapt to the channels that we have today, but also new channels that are potentially going to come up in the future. Another multiplier, so we've looked at the number of technologies and the devices people have used and the platforms that the content is consumed on. But then another kind of exaggerating factor in the complexity of video is brought around by personalization. Now, consumers really expect to see relevant content. And there's, we can see research here shows that relevant content really increases conversion rates by up to 91%. It's a huge amount, super, super important. But there's personalization and then there's hyper-personalization. And we have to make sure that our technology and our content can deal with both. Personalization is a simpler form where basically you have more than one version of your content, your video content in this case. And through understanding of your users and the user data and maybe their previous behavior, you can decide on the fly which version of the content to serve to that particular user in that particular situation. Taking that to another level of complexity, we then have hyper-personalization, which is actually changing the content itself. So the video, actually within the video, the content, the material that's actually been shown can be changed on the fly, adapted automatically based on your consumer, what they've been doing in the past, their history, their behavior, their likes, their preferences, maybe even their location, their geography, the weather that they're experiencing. All of these different characteristics can actually be brought into the video itself to really hyper-personalize. And that just means the amount of content is huge. It's too much for manual creation. You need to bring some level of automation into that process. And finally, looking at a future trend, we already have some level of augmented reality and virtual reality. That's already a technology that's available, but I think that's only going to grow. It's only going to become more and more common for us to see those type of experiences. And it gives end customers that amazing user experience where they can have a fully immersive deep dive into your products or services and get this real 360-degree visual experience. And the technology is increasing all the time. The capabilities of the devices that people are consuming the content on is increasing all the time. And so the need to be able to keep up with these new formats and new types of engagement is going to become super critical, and more types of videos and interactions are going to become available in the future that we don't even know about yet. So there's a whole bunch of potential challenges with video, and the main takeaway we have from the kind of the trends is that video has to be omni-channel and it has to be perfect regardless of how it's being consumed. And that leads us on to the trouble with video. And over to you, Sonia.
Yeah, as if you didn't mention enough already, right? So we know our customers want video. We know we need more. It needs to be snackable. And if you have teenagers in the house, then TikTok is very real for you, I assume. Ross already talked about a few challenges with video. I don't want to be a party pooper, Ross, but I think there is a few more. The video lifecycle and the challenges of actually getting this video published into all those different channels, getting it personalized in there, that's really the tail end of the work that we're doing as marketers when we want to use a video. It starts with the campaign ideation and the concepting, and then how well do the marketers and the video producers and the content folks actually work together. The approval cycles. Dear Lord, when you need to actually look at what is that video going to look like on my website and my mobile site and the social channels, that alone take weeks. The ideas that you get from all your executives on what that looks like take, another set of weeks. And then at the end, can you actually measure the performance? Can you actually see what that video leads to with the KPIs that you said? And how quickly can you actually pivot if it's not working, or if you might have not done such a good job in your approval process and need to quickly pull something back together? It's a long, long life cycle before that video actually hits your audience. And when we talk about those KPIs and the performance, let's not forget that a video is never alone. A video is typically a trailer, a teaser to something bigger, to a campaign. Maybe you're launching your summer collection. Maybe you're launching a new product, maybe for some new self-service that you're offering. But it is always part of a bigger content effort, and it also always leads to a bigger goal. Very rarely is playing this video actually your goal. You want to sell something, you want to get more engagement. So looking at how do I use video without taking that entire customer journey, or the part of the customer journey that you're looking to address, into account is going to fail. By definition, you won't be able to be successful if you do not actually look at what does success look like. Here's the thing. All of that in reality, Russ, is just really, really slow. And it's very, very complex. If this video lifecycle takes days, which is optimistic, let's face it, right? Usually it's weeks. More often than not, it's months. You got to get the marketing teams, the commerce team, the merchandisers, IT, sometimes legal, even maybe your agencies, all need to work together. Then, to your point, it's got to be ready for omnichannel and ideally reusable, because you don't want to do all of that work for just one touch point. And it makes a lot of customers wonder, is it worth it? Is there an ROI in actually tackling video? And if this sounds like something that you have discussed in your organization, Russ, can you help us with that?
Absolutely, absolutely. So how do we solve some of these problems and make video a more attractive and less scary proposition, and really become that friend that it can be to really kind of turbocharge your campaign? So let's start off with some basic rules. This is really high level. This is before you even have any content to worry about. This is kind of the planning, the preparation stages, some of the things you have to ask yourself. So number one is plan for the reuse right at the very beginning of the process. Don't use the reuse as an afterthought. Don't think after you've already captured the video and you've created it and it's perfect, it's edited, how we're going to reuse this, because it's already too late. You've already lost vital input and vital control and flexibility that you could have built into that video right from the word go. So think about how it's going to be used. What channels is this video going to be used on? What platforms? How is it going to look if it's square, portrait, landscape? How could you take some of these considerations into how you plan for the video, and how you can plan for the content flexibility? How will it be cropped? Will a crop make sure that you are always showcasing your product or your services or whatever it is you're trying to promote with this video in the best possible way? Having all of these decisions up front and having them involved and included in the planning process will really allow you to make the most of the assets that you're creating, and that will really allow you to increase that reusability and the potential ROI on the content. Also making decisions and thinking about actually how is this video going to be used? So therefore, how do I need to shoot it? What kind of resolution, what kind of format, what kind of quality do I need is appropriate for this particular video? It's really tempting just to shoot everything in 4K and just say, well, I've captured it in 4K, there you go, it's done. But there's huge overheads there. Is 4K required? There's additional cost in shooting, in production time, in storage, in processing of 4K video. And if you're only ever going to play it out in 1080p or a lower resolution, and you're still having to store it, manage it, maintain it in 4K, is that really appropriate? Really understanding how you're going to use the video and making the right decisions about how you capture and export it right from the word go. And finally, actually keeping hold and retaining ownership over your content. Keep hold of those project files. You don't want to be going back to the production company, whether it's in-house or agencies, to ask for changes, ask for them to provide you with the different variations. Have access and have ownership of those files yourself, and that allows you to keep control and flexibility. And also the file formats here as well. So ProRes 444 will allow you to export in future the video in any format you need, any resolution. You're kind of storing it in the highest possible resolution and the highest possible kind of raw format that you can then do things with later on to give you that future proofing of your content. So that's three rules for actually creating the content. But then what do you need to do once you've got the content and you actually have the content in place? How can you make the workflows and the video process smoother and easier for your users, your consumers, and the people that have to deal with the content? So you have DAM solutions that will help make video workflows really, really simple and really fast. And one of the main and most important parts of that is automatic transcoding. So the transcoding is effectively just a word for creating different versions of the video based on an original file. And those versions can be tailored for specific uses. So you may already know that you need to use the video in TikTok, in Facebook, in particular platforms, and you can automatically get the DAM to create those transcoded versions for you. Upload the original file, and instantly, or not instantly because there's some processing time, but very, very quickly and automatically, those versions will be created and made available. All of the different sizes, resolutions, versions. And that saves a huge amount of manual work. And it also means that content is available for others to use, which we'll see again in a moment. Another consideration, once you have the content in place, is how you're actually going to access it. Is it going to be available as a stream? And if you are going to stream your content, your videos, adaptive bitrate streaming is really, really important because it allows you to guarantee that the streamed video will always perform flawlessly on any device, regardless of bandwidth constraints or other factors that may affect the particular user. So what this effectively means is the system, the DAM, can provide the video in lots of different variations based on quality and resolution that can automatically on the fly adapt to the circumstances of the user. So if the bandwidth is all of a sudden under pressure because the kids are gaming in the next room, the system will automatically adapt that and make sure that they get the optimal performance based on their current situation. And all of those required levels of quality are available on the fly and as needed intelligently and automatically. But that's not the full story with adaptive streaming. It's not just about actually having the content available to be streamed. It's about being able to access it and have it played in a player that can actually support it. And so you have to make sure you have a video player that can support this kind of bitrate streaming, adaptive bitrate streaming. And a lot of modern DAMs provide this capability now. The Cloudinary DAM, for instance, allows you to do even more than that. You can actually tailor the player. You can determine how users can interact with it, what functionality is available, how it displays, what format, what size, even down to the branding and the colors of the player itself. So you've got a huge amount of customizability within the player to make it so that it's an embedded part of your end user experience. And then we have, going back to the variations that I spoke about earlier with the transcoding, we're kind of democratizing the availability of video and of video creation. We're making it open it up to the masses to provide people with the ability to self-serve their own video variations and their own video adaptations. So this allows you to kind of maximize the value of your videos, and your non-technical, non-creative users can quickly and easily find, reuse, and adapt the content that you have in various formats without having to go back to agencies or in-house video teams. It's fast and easy access to the videos. Again, that increases the ROI and reduces the time it takes and allows you to reuse the content even more. So looking at kind of high-level summary of DAM and how DAM can support video and the video workflow. So your DAM must be able to support the specific needs of video. Video isn't just a nice to have anymore. It's an essential part of your DAM platform, and your DAM needs to be able to support that. So modern DAMs are able to do this. Then you also need to be able to support the automation of various aspects of whether it's personalization, adaptation, bitrate streamers we talked about, or optimization of the content. All of that needs to be done automatically by your DAM system. And the optimization should happen on the fly. So the video content should be perfect for every channel, every device, every platform, every user, every time. There shouldn't be anyone who gets served the wrong file or a file that is inappropriate for them in terms of their device or the level of connectivity they have. Your DAM should also provide you with the tools to manage the increasing volume of video. It's a management nightmare potentially if you don't have the right tools in place to be able to manage, govern, curate, and distribute your video content. Also, to allow your teams to collaborate, as Sonia mentioned earlier, the process of creating video is not simple. There's lots of steps involved, lots of people involved, and to be able to support that collaborative effort and to be able to support that workflow from the ideation all the way through to the consumption is really important to be able to be supported in your DAM platform. And also that ability to support the self-service access to videos and to facilitate the reuse and the repurposing, saving you lots of time and money. So I guess over to you again.
Hey Ross,
Sonia.
did you notice I was gone for a few minutes?
I did notice it blacked out slightly, so I started speaking a little bit slower.
Thanks for that. I appreciate it, my friend. You do know that if my internet connection breaks again, you'll need to just jump in there and take over, right?
No problem.
Thank you very much, sir. Now, Ross has solved for us the challenge of video. But as we said before, video is part of a campaign. So what does life look like when you're really looking at the entirety of your campaign ecosystem? And when we launch that big campaign, that big new product, we marketers, we love to think of ourselves like this, right? It's the day of the launch. We're sitting in a cafe, got a laptop, a mobile phone, we push, and everything is perfect. Reality typically is not like that. I actually wanted to get the picture of this guy crying in the bathroom, but our brand police said I can't do that. So just imagine that as the reality. It's really, really hard. It's really hard to launch a campaign that has a lot of different moving parts and that is designed in an omni-channel way. There is an easier way today, though. There is a way to do it easier, and there's a way to do it faster. And the key term for you guys to speed up how you launch your campaigns across every channel using the amazing videos that Ross just showed us are possible today is composable. Analysts tell us that companies who use an intelligent composable approach will outpace their competition by 80%. This actually is a strategic planning assumption from 2 years ago. We're going to show you some real life peers of yours that are doing that today. Now, there's 3 aspects to composable. It always starts with people. You have to make sure that out of all those different stakeholders, the marketers, the content people, the commerce people, the merchandisers, the video folks, the asset folks, you allow each of these to be experts in their own tools, in their own space. It gets really insane if you try to have a content marketer work with a video tool, or a marketing ops person try to create content in your content management system. Make sure you allow each of your experts to live up to their fullest potential. And that includes the front-end developers and the IT guys that need to make functionality happen for you on the front end. Now, if that sounds like silos to you, it is not, because also the process needs to be composable. And that is really, really critical, that you have underlying processes, both in the way you work and collaborate, but also really from a technological aspect that help you tie your workflows and your campaign process together across all the different tools and across all those different people. And that's where composable technology comes in, where you take the best tech and the best tools that are available and that really meet your business needs, and you compose them together into one beautiful marketing technology stack. That wasn't possible 10 years ago. 10 years ago, you were stuck with one monolith, and you better work the way that legacy tool tells you to. Today, technology has found a complete new revival. And I know we've got a lot of marketers in here, so I'm not going to bore you with the technology details, but there's 2 words that I want you to remember when you start picking tools and tech. API first is really important. API first means that you actually can plug all of those tools together. So if you ever went to your IT guys and said, I'd really love to work with this tool, and they were like, no, that doesn't work, probably it was not API first. API first also means that you can actually deliver in a headless way, what means that those bits of different videos, those bits of different content, different images, different personalization rules. You can individually create them by your experts and assemble them in real time in the front end. And that's really, really important for you guys to be able to reuse each of those elements in a repeatable way. And then cloud native SaaS for two reasons. First, if your campaign is successful, you don't want to worry about your sites going down or anything being slow. Cloud native takes care of that, because cloud native means whatever performance you need, you will get. And SaaS, software as a service, is important because you're always on the latest functionality. Each of those tools, when they're SaaS, means all your experts work with the latest stuff, the latest features that those individual vendors actually provide and innovate on. And in the reality, in an enterprise organization, you may be 2 to 3 years behind the actual power that your different software vendors could give to you because they're not SaaS, because your IT team needs to deal with upgrades. And we just did a new research where we found that actually 40% of an IT team's time goes into upgrading front office software. That's almost half of the capacity that they cannot spend on helping you do your campaigns better because they're really bogged down with working through that queue. So those two things I'd love for you guys to remember, and the rest we'll discuss with the technologists. Now, what, however, if you have 6 different tools that you need to plug together, and how do you then, as a campaign manager, as a marketer, actually make sure that you can compose the experience for your end customers, which is what we really want to do. So it's really important that you have a tool that layers across that entire stack and allows your marketing team to assemble the videos from Cloudinary and your personalization rules from the personalization engine, your forms from your campaign engine, so you can actually capture the leads that the videos produce, and assemble all of that in one orchestration center and one launch pad for your campaign. Really, really critical, because you do not want anybody to have to click through these 6, 7 tools in the right order with all the dependencies going on. And then the grand finale, the launch. You press that launch button, one button, and everything else automated happens for you. Contentstack as a CMS knows which pieces of content to pick, which videos from Cloudinary to pick, what channels they need to go to because you as a marketer tell them, and what they need to look like there because that's what your front-end experts took care of. And en route of this publication, the complexities of taking care of the different channels, the different resolutions, the different sizes, the different formats, they're taken care of for you by technology today. Globally, too, no matter where your customer sits, we're going to make sure they have the best possible, fastest, awesome experience that your brand can deliver. Right, Russ?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's one thing that's kind of on that previous slide. I mean, a lot of that's done through AI and automation. It's not done manually. You know, all of this stuff is turbocharged by the systems themselves. So, you know, you can sit back and relax knowing that these things are going to be done automatically for you without you having to get involved any more than you want to.
Exactly. And AI often is this esoteric thing, but in this part of the process for you, it's there, and it's amazing, let me tell you. What does that mean for you? What does that mean for the speed that you will gain as teams? Through our customer base, we're seeing that content and marketing velocity goes up 2 to 10x. So that means you can launch at least twice the amount of campaigns or optimizations, maybe 10. For your IT teams, 3 to 5x. Now, where does that bandwidth come from? You know what? It comes really from how creative you are. If you can think of 10x ways of doing something, you now can, because technology no longer is a bottleneck. It doesn't stop you. So you can move at the speed of your imagination. And some teams are just more creative than others. Now, that means you're going to actually be this guy or this lady sitting in the cafe, totally smooth, pressing that button, and the technology is going to take care of the hard stuff. Sounds a little too good to be true. Well, let's look at a few customer examples. So Ellie Mae is a large financial services organization that before the pandemic already made this move to composable. They launched new websites, new mobile apps. They even had an in-product experience that was, fed with assets and content and videos from a composable technology world. They sped up their development 40% and nearly doubled their publishing time back then already. March, Ellie Mae has their huge customer flagship event where everybody flies in, big stage, all the new announcements, all the advocacy, all the customer love happens right there. And what happens in February? The world goes in lockdown. COVID happens. Now, they were briefly thinking about going ahead with this event, like 10 seconds, and then they were like, we cannot do this. We need to postpone. And someone from the digital team said, guys, don't you think we can pull this off in virtual? This was 6 weeks before the event. And you know what? They managed to do it. Why? Because they did have composable technology enabling them to do. Now, when we're talking about pulling off a virtual event on this magnitude with dozens and dozens of talks, 6 weeks means actually planning, getting the design, getting the front end, getting that implemented, getting all those speakers recorded, getting all those recordings produced. And they managed that. And they published it into mobile channels, into desktop channels. And their success was absolutely amazing. They had double the attendance. They had such a loyalty boost from the customers that actually did not want for this conference to be postponed, and that were so thrilled that Ellie Mae could pull it off in such a short time to pivot from in-person to virtual. The platform performed flawlessly, even with double the attendance. Imagine you had an old school system and you would have scaled that up for the attendance you thought, and then it was double and everything breaks. That would not have been a loyalty boost from your customers, let me tell you. But you know what? It worked so well that halfway through the event, they even pivoted from all the recordings that they did to live video streaming as well, because they had the trust and the confidence in the platform that they could do it, and because they could all move so very quickly. Russ, tell me more.
Whoops, skipped too many slides. Yes, so we have, again, with Cloudinary, there's a whole bunch of successful customers that we've managed to help really bring video into their workflows and their processes and their campaigns. And just wanted to highlight just a few of those here. So, for example, for Bleacher Report, we managed to get their video views increased by up to 25%. So a huge increase in the actual eyes on the content that they're creating. And partly that was due to an increase in the or reduction in the time to market, that we sped up their production so much, and also the quality of those images and those the videos that we were serving. For Bloomsbury Publishing, a similar sort of situation. It was all about the end user experience and trying to reduce the size of the videos in terms of the load time, but without degrading the quality or the resolution or the end user experience. So having more of that automated reusability and on the fly version control that I spoke about earlier, and really making sure that every user is accessing the perfect version of the video every time. Hunter, similarly, from an optimization point of view, their video performance was massively increased, and it improved that end user customer experience across all of their devices and all of their platforms. And lastly, with Event Power, we actually replaced an existing legacy video platform, specific video platform that they had in place, but we were able to bring them the live streaming capabilities that I spoke about earlier, which amazingly increased the engagement that they had with their customers and the consumers of their content. So yeah, lots and lots of advantages and lots of success stories for video across our customer base. But I'm glad Sonia mentioned that API first earlier, because Cloudinary is an API first tool, and it really allows us to be flexible and to implement these kind of solutions depending on what customers need and what their challenges are. I think that's it for the presentation. So Stephanie, I guess it's back over to you for the Q&A section.
Yeah, thank you both. This was fantastic, so informative. Really appreciate all of the case studies. As someone who has been on the producing end of a full-on virtual event, like so many of us, right, over the past few years, I can appreciate what Ellie Mae was going through. So fantastic. Okay, so we've got some great questions here. Let's see if we can get through them all in our remaining time. This is one I had on my mind too. Person's asking, I'm interested in your comments on personalization. How personalized can videos get? Russ, I think you mentioned personalized videos and hyper-personalized videos. Can you talk a little bit about the level? Maybe talk about localization. Does AI play a role in any of this? What more can you tell us there?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, AI certainly can play a role in it, and AI plays a role in a lot of these solutions and a lot of the problems that we're trying to solve at scale, because it allows you to automate a lot of the things that would be just impossible to do manually. But the hyper-personalization is really trying to take the raw content, the raw video, and actually injecting stuff into that that's personal to the particular user. So based on information you may have about the user in terms of maybe products they've bought before, places they've been on holiday before, if you're a travel company, where they're located, what the weather might be like, you can actually change the video itself. So rather than just providing them with a different version of the video, you're actually taking the video and having areas of the video that are basically templated and editable, and injecting content into that, so that when they're watching something, there may be a clip of a city scene and a bus goes past, and the advert on the bus could be something particular to that customer, rather than it just being a generic or not being a bus at all. You can really go down to a very, very low level of personalization and really make the content as relevant and as appropriate to the consumers as you can, based on the information that you have about them, and how you can adapt the content to meet those particular needs. It's hugely exciting. I mean, I don't think it's been optimized and utilized as much as it will be in the future. I think we'll all be used to seeing these kind of things. I'm sure we've all got examples of where we've seen a video that's been tailored to our needs, but often with our own input into it. But this sort of stuff will just happen automatically based on pulling together all of these API-first systems to really get a 360-degree view of the customer, their preferences, their experiences, their demographic, and really kind of tailor the content accordingly.
Fantastic. I mean, I know we've been talking about, how this is powerful for marketing and for marketers, but that kind of personalization, I mean, that's pretty powerful for salespeople too. I mean, that's a really great sales tool, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
And that's where the beauty of those APIs comes in again, because then after you have that initial attention that is already personalized, you want to capture what actions were taken, and you want to pull that same information into the rest of the journey through all the different, the content, the images, and the videos that you might use there.
Yeah. And
you just can't do that if you can't have the connectivity between the different engines in place. There's so much possible now. It's fantastic.
Yeah, the automation is the connections between all of the systems that give you the automation and give you the scale that you need for these type of experiences.
Fabulous. Okay, next question. Let's talk a little bit about sort of the omni-channel way of life. Can you give some details about how optimizing videos for different devices actually works? Good question.
I can't.
Yeah, so this is going to go. Yes, this goes back to our old friend AI again. A lot of it, anyway. In the Cloudinary world, what we have is different mechanisms for basically tagging the content. So the content is created with intelligent URLs or intelligent references, and those references can be set up to work in different ways. And one of them is, or several of them are, to do things like auto format, auto cropping, auto gravity, so automatic awareness of what the most important part of the image is, and all happening through AI. So, we have examples of kind of a lady in a red dress walking across a scene, and that looks lovely in a full kind of landscape orientation. But as soon as you crop it to a mobile device in a portrait mode, you miss a lot of the important part of that video. Through AI, we can always understand where is the important part of the video based on the crop that I'm currently using for the device that I'm currently displaying it on, and it will optimally produce the right part of the video. But then taking that step further, it will also say, well, what's the most optimal file format for this particular device? Because some formats will be super large and maybe they're not appropriate for a mobile device that's on 4G. So all of those things can be taken into account, and we can then do the adaptive bitrate streaming and make sure that all of those factors are taken into account automatically on the fly by the AI to make sure that the end user gets the best possible experience with the minimum amount of bandwidth and file size without a degradation in the quality or the message that's trying to be projected. It's magic.
It is magic, isn't it? That's great. Anything you'd like to add, Sonia, to the magic?
No, absolutely. It's magic. Love it. Let's end on that.
All right, I'm going to squeeze in one more. We've got people here from multiple industries, of course. This is a good question that will appeal to many of them. Is video use for in-store displays something that your customers have done? Any examples you can share there?
I can.
Should I take this
absolutely.
one, Sonia? I'll go after you. After you, go for it.
We can share it. Let's share it. Yeah, no, absolutely. In-store display is really, really huge, especially in that whole time that we did the click and collect, enhancing the experience then with something that still moves has been really, really powerful. I think the in-store display is a good example for where the video sits in something that is a bigger experience, unless you're really thinking just about like, a screen where stuff happens, fair enough, that's pretty straightforward. But most of these in-store displays are interactive. And then you don't just want to control the moving content, but you also want to make sure you can, from wherever you're sitting in your headquarters or at home, you can control the interaction, like what button is going to be shown where, and what additional information do you get about, I don't know, that red dress that the lady just walked over the screen with. So no, absolutely. And again, that is the power of this new way of delivering, of being able to connect your store to your systems. And even in some cases, if you have a loyalty system that you have behind there, recognizing your customer in store, if they pick up an order, for instance, and you can learn more about your customer, how they interact in the store, and make it part of the channel mix, not just some isolated channel, but really make it work in the flow of your journey with a QR code or whatever it is you have there. So absolutely, that is reality today, and it's getting easier every day as well.
Yeah, I think just to add to that, I think some examples that we've come across in use cases is with in-store displays, because they're very, very fast changing. There's a huge amount of volume. They need to be updated on a very, very frequent basis. And they're also very, very localized. Every store might have different offers, different deals, different promotions. And so what we've found is this is a really good use case for a templated video. So the video is kind of created in a way that has placeholders and areas that can be customized and localized, on a store-by-store basis, or hour by hour if necessary. And that will mean that you can actually make sure that content on those displays is actually always changing. If someone comes into the store half an hour later, the offers will be different. They will actually show them something that they hadn't seen previously, and that can be based on the time of day. So maybe breakfast cereal in the morning, maybe a nice bottle of wine in the evening, whatever it might be. It's very, very tailored to what is relevant to the users at that particular time, but all in a templated way. So these things don't have to be manually created. They can adapt based on a schedule all the way through the day. And that's a really powerful and really effective use case that we've seen.
And you can steer that centralized. Like you can steer, what is the display going to look like in Madrid, and what is it going to look like in Washington? That's just so cool, right?
And what's it going to look like Christmas time and Halloween time and in the spring, and all of these different variations can all be brought into that content all automatically.
Yeah, we still have King's Day in the Netherlands.
Yeah, love it. I mean, right now, well. I would be seeing right now, probably like tea or, coffee, something for the afternoon. You all should be seeing a bottle of wine about now on your displays, because it is evening in Europe and London, in the UK, where you all are based. So thank you both so much. This has been fascinating. Really appreciate the information and the case studies. Super helpful. Thank you all to the audience who joined us today. We appreciate it. And, big big hat tip to Cloudinary and Contentstack for making this possible. Just a little pitch for something else we've got going on here at CMI at the end of March. We will have one of those in-person events, not the virtual kind we were just talking about, but one of those in-person events in San Diego where we will be talking about lots of these topics around content operations and strategy and personalization and so much more. If you'd like to learn more about it, check out our website. And as I said at the top of the session, we will be sending you a link to the recorded version of this and our other sessions today, if you'd like to watch them again or share with a colleague. And we hope to see you back here tomorrow at 11:30 Eastern Time here in the US for our first session of the day. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Russ and Sonia. Really appreciate the time. Have a great evening.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.